here. I'm sure there's going to be a few people which trickle in. I'm excited to see everybody on the call today. I'm sure more people will join up soon. This is a topic that I actually love. This topic, Facebook advertising. It's something that I started my career with about 7-8 years ago or so, when things were really, really new on the Facebook platform. I've learned a lot over that time, spent a lot of money, made a lot of mistakes, and made a lot more money. So all those things I'll be talking about today to kind of get you guys started. If you've never done any Facebook advertising, or if you are, some things that you can do to try to improve what you get in terms of results on Facebook ads. And so it's designed, my topic's today designed to cover a lot of material, both strategic and tactical, on a lot of the things that you guys can do to improve some of the results that you might get, whether you're starting from zero or whether you guys are already experienced and have been running ads for quite a while. So we're going to get going here. So number one, who am I? I go through this every time. Steve Merrill, CEO of Bella Ella Boutique, started that with my wife about almost 14 years ago now. About a year ago, started our digital marketing agency, Working Digital. Like I said, over $50 million that we've sold online since 2011. My passion now that I've transitioned into is helping small business owners do things like we've done through our small business. And that's my digital marketing agency, Working Digital, that we do that through. So that's my shameless little plug. Yeah. What are we going to talk about today? Facebook ads workshop. Here's the outline of what we will cover today. Number one, the basics of things that you need to know about Facebook ads before you even get started. Some prerequisites, things that you have to have set up in order for you to even get on the platform to start advertising. I'm not going to go through the details of how to do all of those things during this call, but just know that they're pretty straightforward. You can Google search them. There's YouTube videos. We also have some resources we can share with you if you need some help getting going on some of those. But there are some things you need to do before you can even jump into paid advertising. Campaign setup. So the suggested or method that I've found that works really, really well in terms of paid advertising on Facebook, I'll show you exactly what that looks like, how the campaign should be set up, and how you should run those over time in order to get the best results. We'll talk about audiences. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different audiences that you should create within Facebook Ad Manager to get, again, the best results for you and for your business. And then making ads profitable. So how do you make them profitable? Obviously, the goal to running ads is not to just show a bunch of stuff to people out on the internet, but it's essentially to make money, right? So how do we make them profitable? There's some budgeting tips and tactics that I'll show you guys to make sure that you guys know you're making money, because it can be a black hole if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. Okay. So number one, jumping right in here, the basics. Okay, so the first thing that everybody should be aware of, Facebook ads and any real paid advertising method is simply a way for you to be able to pay the platforms that own the audiences to get in front of those people. Now, this guarantees that you will get reach to people that are strangers that have no idea who you are and what you sell. Unlike posting a regular post to Instagram or Facebook, where if the content is good, it may get some reach. People on the platform who follow you may see it based on the content and how good it is, but they don't guarantee that they're going to show it to people when you post organic content. When you do paid content, based on the amount of budget that you have, you can get in front of 1 million people within a day if you have that amount of money to be able to spend. So it's, number two, the fastest way to reach the most people, which is actually really beneficial and makes it one of the easiest ways to grow a business, because you can guarantee that you're going to be able to get a lot of reach with whatever content that you want to put in front of people. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of those people you get in front of are going to buy it, which takes me to the third one. Getting in front of the right people on paid platforms is more important than getting in front of the most people, right? And so think about the audiences that you advertise to on Facebook or Instagram. There's hundreds of millions of people on these platforms. And thinking about it as this big pool, maybe it's an Olympic-sized pool. If you want to advertise to the entire pool, the likelihood that you're going to get people to convert or buy from that advertisement showing to all those people is pretty slim. But if you narrow it down to just the people which may actually engage with or be interested in what you buy, it's going to be a much smaller pool, but those people are going to engage at a much higher rate, and you're going to see a lot more sales from that. So the right targeting is extremely important. There's two main parts to every single paid advertising platform, whether it's Facebook ads, which we're diving into, or others. You got your campaign structure, which is what I'm going to dive into a ton today. And then you've got your creative. The campaign structure, like we'll talk about, is the audience, how you structure things, who you're targeting, how you're targeting, and then what you're showing them is the creative side of it. The solid mix of the two pieces together is going to give you success no matter what platform you're on. And it's important to make sure that you have both. I'm going to dive a lot into the campaign structure and give you some ideas on creative. But creative, after you have everything set up in terms of campaign structure, creative tends to be about 60% of the equation in terms of finding success on the platforms. So constantly testing, creating new things, and then putting those things in front of your audience to try to get them to convert is extremely important. Okay. Last point is new accounts do take some time to warm up. So if you're just getting started with Facebook advertising, or you're looking to put your feet in the water today, I would expect to take 3 to 4 weeks before you can see some decent results in terms of what you spend on the platform. And that's because there's a lot of integrations that we'll get into that you want to make sure are in place, where Facebook is getting feedback on the data of who is engaging with and who is buying your products on your website. So it's extremely important to have that expectation that there's going to be a time period where you'll make some investment, and then that warming period will result in a lot better results as time passes. Okay. All right. Basic terms. So still in basics here, there's some extremely basic terms that if you've not done Facebook advertising or it's new for you, that you make sure you understand. And I learned these things probably too late in the game. I was probably like 6 to 12 months in before I really understood a lot of these terms. And so you're starting out maybe a little bit further than I did even, if you've just started out and not familiar with these things. So some important things, and you may have heard these terms and been like, what does that mean? So I use the term TOF, top of funnel. That means people that are not aware of or haven't heard of who you are and what you do previously. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Middle of funnel are people that are what would be called like warm leads or warm contacts, people that have probably heard of you before, they've engaged with you in some way, and they just basically know who you are. And then you've got bottom of funnel. These are people which have expressed an extreme amount of intent in who you are and what you do as a business, and or they've already bought from you. And so they are obviously very extremely aware of who you are. Another important term, ROAS. You've probably heard people say this. If not, it means return on ad spend. It's expressed like the example here as a number, 3.0, 3.5, 2.5, whatever it might be. It's just important to know what it stands for. And what the actual number is means that for every dollar that you spend on paid advertising, this is the number of dollars that you see in revenue as a result. So if your return on ad spend is a 3, then for every dollar that you've spent, you've seen $3 in revenue as a result of that. Okay. So it's an important metric, probably the most single important metric to pay attention to in paid advertising if I was going to pick just one. Okay, CPM. And this one, again, is something that maybe you've heard. A lot of people guess at what this might mean, but CPM means cost per 1,000 impressions. Again, extremely important. And I didn't understand the importance of it until the first holiday season that we went through, kind of like we are now, and through Black Friday. And what this has an implications on in terms of your paid advertising is it gives you a relative understanding of how many people are on the platforms advertising all at the same time. And the greater your CPMs, the higher the cost is going to be to get in front of all of the people that you want to advertise to. And that's a function of all the other people that want to be on the platform advertising to those people at the same time. Because Facebook uses somewhat of an auction format to decide who gets to get in front of which person at what time. And so the more it costs to get in front of that person, that means there's more people trying to get in front of that one person at the same time. Those costs tend to go up around the holidays substantially. I've seen them go up more around the holidays this year than I ever have. Come January, they're going to drop off a cliff. And so we've seen this year around $30 to $40 CPMs, where historically in January, February, they drop way down to around $8 to $10, which has a massive impact on downwards in your campaign structure and your funnel on how many people you can get in front of for how much money. Okay, CTR, click-through rate. So this is the ratio of the number of people that saw something that you showed them in an ad and how many of those people clicked on that thing as an ad. And a good number here would be like 3 to 5%. We have some clients that are getting around 10% on some of the content that we're using in their paid advertising. This is a really good gauge of who you're showing the ad to and the combination of that with the creative itself. And so it's a good one to pay attention to. Customer acquisition costs, CAC. This is very similar to return on ad spend. They kind of go hand in hand, but it tells you the amount of money that you're spending for a single person to make a purchase from you. So obviously not every dollar that you spend and not every person that you advertise to is going to buy from you. And so on average, how much are you having to spend in order to acquire one single customer? Okay. So important things to make sure you understand there. You might want to take a screenshot of that. I am recording this for you guys. So after this call, probably in the next couple, I'm going to send this out. So you don't have to necessarily worry about taking too many notes or screenshots or things like that, unless it's something specific that you want to make sure that you note for yourself. So I will send this out for you guys. Okay. Prerequisites. Like I promised, there's a few things that you need to make sure that you have set up and in place before you can even participate in the platform. Number one, you need a Facebook Business Manager account, or a Meta Business Manager account, I guess is called now. So you want to go onto Facebook and sign up for one of those. Next, you need a Facebook business page, and that has to be connected in your Business Manager account, because this is the identity that your ads will be showing as when they get in front of people on the platforms. The other part of that is an Instagram account. And so those two things tie together and will show as the identity of you as an advertiser on whether you're Facebook or Instagram advertising. Next, you need a Facebook pixel, or they've updated it now just to basically call it event tracking. This gives Facebook all of the information that it needs in order to effectively advertise to the people on the platform. And it gives feedback to Facebook about who was it that actually clicked on the ad and then went through to your website and then took further actions like adding something to their cart or actually making a purchase. And when it gets that data back, it says, oh, okay, now I know who that person is that made a purchase. Let's find more people like that. And so that's a really important step to make sure you have set up. And obviously you need an ad account with your billing set up so you can set up and pay for ads on the platform. Okay, so those are the primary things you need to make sure you have set up. Oh, let me jump back really quick. Without those are the basics. If you don't have any one of those, then you can't really do any paid advertising on Facebook if they're not all connected. And Business Manager is think of it like a hub that actually houses the settings for all of these other pieces. There's a lot of other tools in there that I'm skipping past, but you can take a look at, are not necessary just to get started. Okay. Another important concept in terms of your Facebook ads campaign and the setup is called something I call the remarketing matrix. Now, this model that I use to describe the people that will engage with you on Facebook ads, it helps you to understand how you want to target the people that you're trying to get in front of. And it gives you a value equation that you can then look at and say, these people are more important, I'm going to spend more money to get in front of them. These people are less important, and I'm going to spend less money to get in front of them. And it breaks it down by number one, purchase intent, how long it's been, and number two, how long it's been since they demonstrated that intent. And so on the bottom left here, we have people with the highest intent that have shown that interest most recently. As an example, this would be somebody that maybe went to your website, if you saw online, and have added something to their cart and then went to go check out and buy that thing, but maybe haven't completed the purchase. So that would be somebody that's very, very high value to you as a business and what you do, that, excuse me, I would say is very important to try to get back in front of that person. On the opposite end of it, on the top right-hand side of this matrix here, then you have people lowest intent and least recent. This would be like a month from now trying to get in front of somebody on the platform that has just basically gone to your website and browsed around a couple pages, probably didn't even view like a product page. That person is a lot less valuable to you and your business. And then you have the mix between those two of all the different variations there, where you have somebody that's expressed more or less purchase intent, and it's been more or less time since then. So it's an important concept to understand in terms of your advertising, and how you want to target people on the platform. The next, and you guys have probably all seen this, I'm going to refer back to this Facebook ad campaign setup structure. And I like to think of things as a funnel. And while a funnel doesn't always perfectly describe your marketing efforts, it does help us to understand a little bit better as a framework how we want to target people on Facebook, or Instagram, or any paid advertising methods. Where you have step one at the top of the funnel, what we're trying to do is drive awareness. And that would be just trying to get people to know who we are and what we do. From there, our goal is to pull people down into the funnel by grabbing the people which would express more interest or demonstrate intent in whatever it is that we're trying to sell, and ultimately pull them down all the way in to the bottom of the funnel to buy. Our campaign structure in Facebook and Instagram is going to very closely mimic the way that you would set up a funnel like this, and I'll tie it together for you guys as we go through. Okay. Basic Facebook ads campaign setup, the way that it looks, and I'll show you on the next slide here what it looks actually in the platform. You'll have basically a campaign. So the campaign name here, and then within a campaign, you can have one or more ad sets. And then an ad set is really just, think of it as a container that holds one or more ads within the platform. And then a campaign just holds one or more ad sets. And so there's 3 levels to every single campaign in Facebook ads, with one exception, which I'll kind of skim over because it's not as important at the moment. So 3 levels. So as I go through, it's important, just keep this in mind as I'm describing some of the things that you'll want to have set up within the platform. This is the way that you would see it visually on Facebook itself. So this is a screenshot of a new account that we're managing for a client, that I just took this morning. For privacy reasons, I've blurred out some of the actual numbers there. But on the left-hand side here, you can see the campaign names. Each one of those campaign names represents a different stage within the funnel of Facebook advertising that we're targeting to people on Facebook. And so you have, the way that we structure it is FS stands for funnel step or funnel stage. So our FS1 campaigns would be targeting people that are in that awareness phase. And then 2 would be in the middle of funnel, 3 would be more bottom of funnel, and then 4, which I didn't really have on the funnel structure that I showed, would be retention. These are people that have made a purchase already. And so we target all the people across the steps there. And the reason why we like to set it up that way is because, number one, it allows us to control how much money we're spending to acquire people or engage with people at each different step of their engagement with us as a business. And then the next thing is we can also then keep track of how many people are engaging with us at each different level. And if you have things set up properly, you'll be feeding the top of the funnel with your top of funnel campaign, and then trickling down will be all of the people which would be engaging in your content at the top of your funnel. So if you're not getting people filtering down to each additional step, then you're probably doing something wrong at the top, and you know where to fix it. Okay, so that's a very basic campaign structure that we use. All right, top of funnel campaign strategy. And so we're here in this awareness stage. This is what we're going to talk about first. So strategy in terms of cold or top of funnel targeting campaigns. Number one, these are cold audiences, people that have probably no idea or no clue who you are as a business and what you do. And that's important because we need to set up our ads when we're showing them to people that demonstrate that, hey, we're talking about who we are and what we do a little bit at the beginning of it, unless it's something that's very obvious, right? Because let's say you sell, clothing. People are pretty familiar with clothing. You probably don't need to educate people on clothing itself, but in some way demonstrating to people that you're unique in the clothing that you sell, whether it's your pricing or whether it's the branding, or some features about the clothing themselves that you want to make sure people understand that make you stand out. So there's a little bit of an education process that you could involve with that. The other point, number 2 here, is you want to make sure that you understand you're trying to find interested buyers. And this ties back to the beginning slide that I was talking about, where you can get in front of 1 million people tomorrow if you wanted to, but more people doesn't mean that it's better in terms of paid advertising, because more people means more money. So you're trying to find interested buyers out of those cold audiences. And so there's some really good targeting methods I'm going to talk about here in a minute to do that. Next, the idea is to drive shopping behavior. So we're trying to pull people into the funnel. And just like I talked about a minute ago, by looking at the funnel there, we're trying to engage people to pull them into the funnel of shopping behavior. If they do buy from that top of funnel campaign, great. But our goal is to try to get people to engage, whether it's they're going to the website and visiting whatever our products are, adding things to their cart, checking out, and ultimately buying. We have more support below us in terms of our campaign structure. We'll show you in a minute that help that. So yeah, click through is a part of that. We want to get people to click on the ads, try to add to cart, go to checkout and purchase, and ultimately get to the website and buy something. Okay, so what does our Facebook ad campaign setup actually look like? So in a new account setup, here's what you're going to want to do. Number 1, you're going to have a campaign that's set up as your top of funnel campaign. So you remember the 3 pieces of any campaign in Facebook ads is number 1, the campaign, number 2, the ad set, number 3, the ad itself. So you have first the campaign setup, and then you're going to create a few different ad sets. Ad set number 1 you want to create is based on a customer list. And this is a new account setup. Now, this seems like it conflicts with what I talked about just a minute ago in terms of who you're targeting in your top of funnel campaign. But in a new account, Facebook has no idea who you are and what you do and what you sell and who's going to engage with the products that you sell. So we're training the Facebook algorithm by uploading a list of all of your customers and saying to Facebook, these are the people which are going to engage with the content because they've already bought from me. And so it takes that time frame of the amount of time it takes Facebook to learn your products and your website and who you are in your company, and it shrinks it down because you're already telling it, here's the people which have already bought from us. And so that's a trick to save some money, number 1. But number 2, helps Facebook to understand a lot quicker and get purchases faster from the people that have already bought from you. The next campaign would be a lookalike audience, and I'll get into audiences in a minute. But audiences, lookalike audiences basically take your customer list or other lists and then go out on Facebook and Instagram land and try to find the people that are very similar to them. And I don't understand all the details of the actual algorithm, but they look at a ton of different data points and say maybe things like age, location, income levels, all those kinds of things that they have access to, hundreds of data points. And they go out and find the people that are most similar to the people which are already customers for your business. And then you'll want to create an audience or an ad set based on that audience. And then ad set number 3 is what Facebook now calls their ad plus audience. This is the newest version of one of the changes that they've been making recently within Facebook, where you give it some data and Facebook will go out and make sure it tries to find the people which are most engaged with the content that you're trying to put in front of them, based on the goal that you have, which ultimately should be conversion. So an ad plus audience is one of the evolutions of it's like the next version of a lookalike audience, but it gives Facebook a lot more control over and gives them the ability to find people that are more similar to whatever it is that they do. I think it's just another version of an algorithm they're using to try to find engaged buyers. It actually performs really, really well. And so eventually your campaign setup would look like having a number of different ad sets with ad plus audiences instead of the setup that you have here as you evolve in your ad account. But for the first new account setup structure here, this is exactly what you want to have done within your account under your campaign. So this is a great top of funnel campaign setup here, which is where the most of the people in your account are going to engage as you advertise across the platform. Okay, continuing your top of funnel stuff, creative. So another big question is, okay, now I have the campaign structure set up. What should I actually be doing in the ads that I create at the top of funnel space? So number one, you're going to create the same ads for every single one of the ad sets that we set up here. So all three of these different ad sets that we set up here, you're going to start by creating a number of different ads that are the same between all three of them, because you're going to want to use those as a consistency between them in order to tell Facebook and Instagram, here's the exact thing I want to show to people. And as people engage with it, you're going to train Facebook and the algorithm on the people that are going to engage with your content. And if you have too much different stuff, it's hard to test what's going to work. So you're going to want to put the same exact ads on all three of these campaigns. So same ads for all ad sets. Number two, or within these ads, number one, you're going to want to add a product offer, which is a carousel ad. And part of the important pieces of your ads setup here is if you sell something, let's say you're on Shopify and you have a mix of products that you can integrate within, you'll want to set up a integration between Facebook and Shopify that'll upload your product catalog automatically. And then you'll create what's called a carousel ad that will display the products within your shop on Facebook and Instagram. And that's the primary ad that you want to set up. Within that, that's basically your product offer of your products itself. If you're not on Shopify or you don't have that set up, I would highly recommend you do it. If you're on a different platform and you sell something that's maybe a little bit more static or don't have a ton of SKUs, you want to use your product offer as one of the primary things that you create as an ad at the top of funnel stage. Within that, the ads are going to be mixed up with number one, a review. So if you have reviews from people that have purchased from you in the past, just pick one that's really, really good and throw it up in, and we'll test that out. We'll test that against a second review. So on review number two, something totally different. And you'll be surprised. I've tested a lot of different reviews. Everything that you think would probably work really well may not work as well, and some stuff that you had no idea would work really well sometimes does work awesome. Even in a top of funnel targeting, I had one that I created for a client where we were talking about it was a review that somebody talked about the size that they picked of the product that they bought, and said how good it was, and they were glad they picked a medium instead of a large or whatever it was. And for some reason that drove a ton of engagement, and it tended to work really, really well. So test a number of different reviews. That initially you'll have at least 2 reviews, and so you'll have 2 different ads within that one ad set. And then the third ad that you're going to have is something about your deals or your top selling products as a carousel ad. And the products that you'll feature there are either things that are a discount or on a deal, or your top selling products. And you'll create those same ads in all of the different ad sets that we already talked about. Okay, so those are your 3 ads within your first campaign structure. Leads us to the next section here, and we have a lot to get through, so I'm going to kind of start moving a little bit quicker here. So this brings us down from awareness into the interest or middle of funnel stage, where people have expressed interest or shown intent within your campaign setup or your Instagram, your Facebook conversion accounts. Okay, so now we're in the middle of the funnel. Moving here, what's our strategy? Number one, we're going to target warm audiences here in this part of the funnel, like I just showed you here. And we're reinforcing the intent that people demonstrated just by basically reminding them, hey, we're still here. We're also trying to build relationship with people here, because if they've just heard about us the first time, they say on average, somebody has to hear about or know about your company, have interaction points about 7 times before they will decide, yes, I'm going to make a purchase. So these are showing reminders to those people which have already interacted or demonstrated some kind of an intent, and then we're just reminding them, hey, we're still here. We also use this to build relationship with people, and so we'll do some things with content that we don't do at the top of the funnel stage. Next thing is there's 2 different campaigns that we'll set up within our middle of funnel structure here. And they target 2 basically different groups or containers of people, as our ads tends to show. And this is what it looks like. So campaign number 1, these are people which have engaged in some way on the website that you're trying to direct people to. So whatever your property is that you're selling on. Within that, you're going to have an ad set that shows to all the people that have visited your website. The next one is going to be people that have visited your website but has spent the most time on your website by 25%. And again, these are audiences basically within Facebook, which I'll get to in a minute. So all website visitors, ad set number one. Number two will be the top 25% of people that have visited your website by amount of time that they've spent on your website. And you're going to make sure you you're going to make sure you exclude all the shopping behavior that people have demonstrated on your website, because we want to stay targeting those people in the middle of the funnel setup here. So below that, you'll have people which have bought something, they've checked out, they've added to cart, and maybe they viewed a product on your website. And so this middle chunk of people are people that have visited your website and engaged in some way, but haven't actually demonstrated shopping behavior on your website. Okay. The next one here, campaign number two. So these are people which are engaged into your social accounts in some way. And so think about it as an ecosystem. The more you are involved and engaged with people across different platforms, whether it's organic media or paid media, it's going to contribute to both of those two independently at the same time. Because think about a shopper's journey here. If they see an ad on Facebook, and you guys have probably all done this, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, you're scrolling through, looking at stuff, and you see an ad, it was targeted great, the content was really good, and so it got you to click on it. When you go to click on it and you view whatever experience it is that they're directing you to, one of the things that you likely have done, and I've done this, is I'll go back off of the ad, and then I'll go look at that social profile of the company that was advertising to me. And if they have like 5 posts on their Instagram account and it's a new account, it really erodes the trust that I have in that company, even if they have a website that looks really, really good. So those two things work together a lot. And so if you have a really small social presence organically and you're trying to do some paid advertising, I would highly recommend that you spend and invest some time into adding some content to your organic, which is just your Facebook and your Instagram accounts, to demonstrate proof and value outside of just paid advertising. It does a lot to get people to engage at a higher rate, and ultimately makes you more money in ads because people then value what you do a little bit more and they trust you. So the second campaign here targets a lot of those people, which adds a lot of value to you having an audience on Facebook and Instagram at the same time, because now we can go back into ads and retarget those people based on their Facebook engagement with us, their Instagram engagement with us. There used to be a time, when if you had a business page on Facebook and you posted something, Facebook would just show it to everybody. And those days are long gone. Now they monetize by getting you to pay to get in front of those people, which you can now do by targeting specifically to Facebook and Instagram followers that you have. The next ad set would be email subscribers. There's a lot of email tools out there, obviously. One that I love is called Klaviyo, and it lets you integrate within to Facebook and target all of the people which have already signed up to get emails from you, which again, helps your entire ecosystem, right? And so if we talk about the way that you're doing paid advertising, if you have a ton of email subscribers and you want to get in front of those people on Facebook or Instagram, you can integrate those two pieces together and start showing those people ads. And you don't have to have necessarily the same opt-in from somebody that you're showing an ad to on Facebook and Instagram as you do to send them directly an email. And so if maybe you have a customer list, but they haven't opted in to getting emails from you, or maybe you have a list of people that are SMS subscribers, but you don't have their emails, you can do a similar thing and upload it to Facebook and get in front of those people on paid advertising. And that's going to get a lot more engagement if you're able to put those people right into the platform and get right in front of them on Facebook and Instagram. And secondly, then helps those people re-engage back with you. And then you can also use those uploads or those audiences as a basis for a lookalike audience to target more people like that. So as your ecosystem builds with email and with your Facebook and Instagram accounts, it does nothing but help your paid advertising results. So with these two ad sets, we're going to exclude all shopping behavior within our campaigns, because we have campaigns below us which are going to target those people which have engaged through shopping behavior. So just like the previous ad sets we created, we're going to exclude purchases, people that have checked out, added to cart, or viewed products on our website. Okay. That's our middle of funnel campaign structure here. What are we going to do in terms of creative now? So for our middle of funnel creative, we get to do a few different things. And we're going to start by having the same creative in all of our ad sets, just like at the top of funnel campaigns that we talked about. And so it makes it really easy. So you can create those ads and then just simply duplicate them across the different ad sets as you create them. And number one, again, reviews on product ads. And this is a good way to continue to pull people in. I would add different product reviews within this stage as well. That way, as people go across your funnel, if they engage in top of funnel and see review, and then they don't buy, but now they're in the middle of funnel setup here, you're able to show them something else about your product or your company that validates you even further. Okay. Other information that we can put into creative, top organic posts. So this is one that's different than the top of funnel targeting. And this is, again, where your organic media adds more value to what you do in paid advertising. So what we'll do is we'll go back in time through organic posts that a company may have made over the last 90 days or so. And we'll find maybe 5 or 6 that are really highly engaged relative to all the other organic media that you've posted. And then we'll recycle those and put those into ads. It does a couple of things. Number one, when you use those in an ad, it already shows the engagement on that post when it's a brand new ad. So if that thing has a lot of likes and comments and shares, it's going to give that as validation of whatever you're showing in your ad as something that's really good that people already engage with. And so as people see it, it's going to give them more validation that they should probably stop and look at it. And then the second thing is that Facebook loves this tactic. So when you have something that's already engaged a lot through an organic content piece, and then you throw it into an ad, it's going to do a lot more boosting of that content on a better cost structure than it would if it was something that was just purely an ad. So Facebook likes this. Their algorithm is trained to know that you've used an organic post in an ad, and it will give it a little bit more reach for less money. Special offers are good in this stage as well. So keep in mind where people are at in the funnel. They've not demonstrated any shopping behavior at this point. So there's going to be a percentage of people, which if you give them some kind of special offer, are simply going to say, you know what, I'm going to take you up on that offer, and we're going to pull back down into the funnel. And so the reason why we show all of these different pieces and ads is some people are going to resonate with something that's a review, somebody's going to resonate with something that's an organic post, somebody else is going to resonate with something that's a special offer. And so we want to create enough content to give to people in this stage of the experience that we're getting as many people as possible. Okay. Next, bottom of funnel. So this is now where we're down at the bottom here. Moving into this, strategy is quite a bit different once we get down to this stage, because people have already demonstrated a high level of intent on whatever it is that you do as a company. And so if you remember our structure set up in terms of our remarketing matrix, these are the people which are on the bottom left, which have demonstrated the most intent, and it's been the shortest amount of time since they demonstrated that intent. So these people are very, very valuable to your business. How do we set that up? Number one, they are a hot audience, right? People that have demonstrated a high level of intent with your products. Number two, focus on the retargeting matrix, like I just talked about. Number three, we're going to split ads based on the intent level that they've already demonstrated. And I'll show you what that means in just a minute here. And the goal here is to stay top of mind with that person. If you think about it logistically, you know, I've been on Facebook, and wherever it is that you sit on your phone, whether you're in the bathroom and you're just scrolling through, or wherever you're sitting on the couch and you have a moment and you see an ad and you engage with it. Maybe you go to the website or you're shopping, you add something to your cart because, man, maybe I do need that. And then once you get to that point, something happens, right? You get an interruption, the phone rings, you start talking to somebody, your kid starts yelling, they fall off the couch, whatever happens in life, you get interrupted before you go to get up your card to buy something. And then before you know it, you forget what you were doing altogether. And a lot of people will do that and get interrupted before they make the purchase. So this whole content idea is that we're getting back in front of people just to remind them, like, hey, you remember that thing you were doing when you're about to check out? Like, let's finish that process. And it works extremely well, and is one of the really high value things that we can do with Facebook. So what does that actually look like in our campaign setup? Number one, it's going to have one campaign for all of our bottom of the funnel ads that we're going to show. And ad set number one is going to be the highest value people to your business that it can find on Facebook. People that have gone to your website and added something to their cart within the last 3 days, just 3 days. And these people, it's been the most recent since they bought or since they have demonstrated interest in buying. And secondly, they've demonstrated the highest interest, but not yet purchased. And the reason why we limit it to 3 days here is this group, even though it's really, really small, is going to be a way for us to understand, number one, how many people are here, and number two, what we need to do to get back in front of these people to get them to buy. If they've gone much longer than 3 days and they're actively shopping, maybe they found something else to buy as a substitute and they're already outside of the shopping behavior. So they're not going to come back and buy from you if they've already bought something else from somebody else. So we limit it to 3 days in this group. And within this group, I'll get to creative in just a minute, but we're going to target just as reminders, hey, come back and buy. The second group is people that have added to cart between 4 and 14 days, 4 days and 2 weeks. So within the shopping cycle here, and your business may be a little bit different depending on how much your product costs and the sales cycle for your business, it may be 4 days to 30 days. So on average, for a lot of businesses, we found that within 14 days of demonstrating high intent shopping behavior is the time for which they may actually make a purchase. If you go beyond that, for most businesses, it's likely they've already bought somewhere else or decided they didn't need it. And value of those people tend to drop off of a cliff, but your business may be a little bit different. I would find most e-commerce websites that sell products under maybe $200. This is where your company probably lives. But these people are a little bit less valuable. If they haven't bought within the first 3 days, once they get to 4 days, it's worth it to try to do some kind of special offer and do something like, hey, come back, finish and get like a free blank with purchase, or get, hey, finish that purchase and get 10% off. That would be a good place for content like that. So actually, I'm skipping ahead. Before I get to that, ad set number 3, viewed content. So people that have viewed products on your website within the last 30 days. And so these people have not actually added to cart. They haven't bought anything yet, just viewed some products, browsing, I guess you could call window shopping. Again, less intent, so a little bit less valuable. But then we split these 3 different groups apart because we want to target specific budgets for each group. And we probably want to spend a little bit more in the last 3 days add to cart group than we do in the 4 to 14, than we do in the viewed content bucket here. Even though those successive groups are probably a little bit bigger in terms of size and number of people, the people that are the most valuable want to get the most, we want to get the most attention. Okay, all of this, we're going to exclude people that have bought from us in the last 30 days. And so if people have come into the funnel here and they have bought already from us, obviously we don't want to spend money getting back in front of those people saying, hey, come back and buy something from us. Okay. Bottom of funnel creative. And this is your Facebook retargeting setup. And this is, again, why it's extremely important to make sure that you have everything set up within the Facebook Business Manager, including the events, your Shopify integration, if you're on Shopify, which allows you to then feed a catalog right into Facebook ads. And then when you do those things, it's going to allow you to set up a campaign type that uses a sales objective, but uses your catalog to feed products back in. Because at this step, what it does is it keeps track of what people are actually looking at on your website. And when people are on your website, let's say they're looking at product XYZ, and then they go add to cart, but they don't finish buying that product. And you guys have probably all experienced this. You get onto Instagram after that, and then lo and behold, you see that exact same product that you were just looking at on that website, showing you, hey, come back and finish your purchase. And it sounds a little bit creepy, but it's one of the highest converting tools that you can implement for your Facebook advertising. Okay, so make sure you don't skip out on that. And the way that you make sure that you set that up properly on your campaign settings, when you're setting up a Facebook ad campaign, make sure that you select a campaign objective of sales, and you're using a catalog here to retarget people that have looked at products on your website. Okay, what do we do with bottom of funnel campaigns? That should say BOF. Skip that there. Bottom of funnel campaign. So bottom of funnel creative. What are we going to show people at this point? Number one, product carousel ads. So use Facebook retargeting. That's that cool thing that will then show people on Facebook and Instagram the products that they were just viewing on somebody's website. Creepy, but very, very effective. Next here, reviews. Again, more reviews. Reviews everywhere, right? Because it gives a lot of social proof and validation to you as a business and what you do, and they engage at a really, really high rate. Again, show some different reviews at this point than you would at your middle or your top of funnel campaigns in order to validate different pieces of whatever it is that you do. And so maybe at top of funnel, you're talking about business reviews. Middle of funnel, maybe you're talking about general product reviews. And the bottom of funnel, maybe specific product reviews. So this thing was actually really cool. I loved this product for XYZ reason that validates that specific product they may be looking at in the retargeting ad. Okay, discount offer. And like I talked about, so discount offer in the caption or the primary text of your ad in the 4 to 14 day add to cart ad set. And again, you want to wait until this 4 to 14 day, not in the first 0 to 3 day, because people in the 0 to 3 just need a reminder. In this 4 to 14 day add to cart set, those people have waited a little bit. They've probably already seen another ad that you've shown them. And now you're going to get back in front of them and say, hey, take 10% off or whatever your offer is to come back and finish your purchase. Okay, another one that works really, really good, use urgency. So just say things like, don't miss this deal. This deal expires in XYZ time, whatever it is. Use some urgency there. It's a time-tested tactic. Use urgency in your ads. Scarcity at the same time will do a very similar thing. Scarcity, the difference between urgency and scarcity is that urgency is more based on time, and scarcity is based on the quantity of units available. And so scarcity would talk about like, hey, we're almost sold out, or we have a limited quantity available, things like that. And those two tactics work extremely well in terms of ads. Okay, now I'm throwing in a bonus piece here that I didn't have on the funnel previously. And this is your retention campaign setup. And so at the bottom of your funnel here, the piece that I didn't have initially is after people buy, that's not the end of the game for us, right? Once people buy, we want to get them to come back and buy again from us instead of just saying, hey, thanks for your money, bye. The whole goal is to look at people as if they were your last customer that you would ever get, how would you treat them? So you would want to make sure after they buy, you try to continue to build relationship with them just as much as or more than people that have not bought from you yet. So we want to target those people. And this is where the one piece of that you should be doing as a business. I highly recommend for anybody that buys from you, figuring out ways to do things like sending out personalized emails. We've done things like writing handwritten cards, sending one-on-one emails, one-on-one text messages, things like that really engage people. So don't forget about this group, because again, it's one of the lowest hanging fruit pieces within your business in terms of building relationships with and driving lifetime value for your customer group. So we're going to talk really quick about retention campaigns. Here's a kind of a ninja tactic that we use. Number one, we're going to target obviously customers, so people that have bought from us recently. And again, focus on building relationships with these people first, more than anything else after they bought, to reinforce their purchase decision. And how do we set that up? We're going to set up the campaign as a retention campaign. And that's not a campaign type. That's just what we call it. So it's a sales campaign, but the targeting that you're going to the targeting that you're going to use on this campaign is what I call retention. And so people that purchased in the last 30 days, that's your audience that you're going to be showing to. And now what are you going to show to those people? Number one, a simple thank you video. And so for all of you guys that get really scared about being on camera and have and maybe makes you jitter thinking about getting in front of the camera and creating a little video about whatever it is that you do and posting on social media, this is going to be a good start for you. It can be as simple as getting out your phone, looking into it, sitting at your desk or sitting on your couch and just saying, hey, this is Steve at Working Digital. Thank you so much for buying from us. We're a family-owned business. We've been in business just a few years. Whatever it is that you want to say that's going to just say, hey, thank you for buying from us. We appreciate you so much. And that is it. There's no ask. There's no, hey, come back and buy a product. 100% just a thank you and a relationship builder that's getting in front of people to build relationship. And that's the only thing. So you're going to have a thank you video, number one, from you as the owner or founder. And then number two, an image of you you and your family, you and one of your kids, something like that, that's going to, again, just show people that bought from you, oh, there's actually a person in this business that owns this business. It's not just like a name of a company. And then in the text or the caption there, you're going to put the text that you would have said in the video. That's simply like, hey, thank you so much for buying from us. We're a family-owned business, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Those two things, you may get some purchases from them, but that is not your goal, right? Your goal is, again, to build relationship, because that then is going to have the effect of people retaining as a customer over a period of time. Most products, people don't need to buy them within the first week or two after they buy them the first time, right? And so your whole point here is driving engagement, building relationship. Okay, ad set number 2. Now, this is where we actually get into people that maybe would buy again. So after that 30-day period, we create an audience that has everybody that's bought from us from 30 days to the last 180 days from us in our company. And what do we do with those people? Well, at this point, maybe they're interested in already buying from us again. So our creative is going to show new arrivals that maybe we have as a company, some new products, maybe something that we know that they haven't bought in the past that would complement whatever it is that they already bought. And there's ways to set up that targeting within your Facebook Ads Manager that I don't have the time to go over in the next 9 minutes, but that's a way that I would target people that have bought in that window. Okay. All right, so I told you guys, or I promised you guys, I would put together some ad audiences for you that you're going to want to create. So within these bullet points, I didn't add them up, but if you took every single one of these audiences and multiplied it by 3, that's about the number of audiences that you would want to create in your audiences, your ad manager account. So screenshot this. Again, I'm going to send this presentation out afterwards as well, so you guys will have this video to refer back to. But these ad audiences are an important part, and they fit exactly within the campaign and ad set structure that I've already outlined in the previous campaigns that I've talked about here. So every one of these audiences would be used. And the way that you'd create them, you go into your audience manager under Facebook Business Manager, and then it will walk you through that process. So it's pretty straightforward. So take a screenshot. 3, 2, 1, next. Yeah. One of the biggest questions that I get from people, I wanted to make sure I hit this, is how much should I spend, right? And that's obviously an important piece to know. If I'm spending money on Facebook ads, how much can I spend? Can I start by spending $10 a day, which is a per day budget is typically what you would spend. As a side note, guys, don't boost posts. I'm going to say that because I see a lot of people doing that, thinking that they're running ads. A boosted post is a waste of your money, because you don't have, number one, the targeting that you would need set up in order for it to be effective. And number 2, there's no way for you to actually drive people to convert from that ad. And you're not going to really track whether or not people bought from it. So get rid of boosted posts, go to Facebook Business Manager, create an ad account, and do your ads that way. Okay. So back to budgets. How much should I spend on Facebook ads? So here would be an example budget if you're just starting out, as what I would recommend is the minimum amount of money that you would want to spend in a Facebook ads campaign setup. So number 1, top of funnel campaigns, minimum of $25 a day. And again, this is daily budget. Okay. After top of funnel campaigns, you have your middle of funnel campaigns, and within each ad set, the minimum amount you can set up an ad set to spend is $3 a day, and there would be 4 of those. So the minimum amount there would be $12. So you can start out there. Bottom of the funnel campaigns, again, each ad set requires just $3 a day in order for you to set it up. And so that would be a total of $9. And then you have your retention campaign, which would have just probably the 1 ad set. If you have the second one for targeting people that have bought further back, it would be $6. So just add $3 to your budget a day there, for a total budget of $49 a day. Now, you could start at this level. And I remember what I talked about at the very beginning is that Facebook is a great platform to advertise on because there are so many users, and the more money you spend, the more people you're going to get in front of. Okay, so the more money you spend, obviously, the more people you have, but you need to make sure your account and your creative is all set up properly in order for you to drive conversion and make more money. So the goal isn't to just say, I'm spending $49 a day and that's what it costs. In your mind, you should be thinking back on return on ad spend, if I set this up properly, not what it costs, but what is it worth? And so if the goal is I'm going to spend $49, but I'm going to make or sell $150, $200 a day off of that, it's worth it all day long, right? And that's the goal. It's not a expense at that point. It's a little bit more of an investment into paying for advertising on the platform. And I sound like a salesperson for Facebook, and trust me, that I'm nowhere near a salesperson for Facebook. But I've done a lot of things that have made me money within Facebook ads, and I'd love for you guys to do the same. Okay, budgeting tips for you guys as you get started and start spending money on Facebook ads. Number one, you need to know what your break-even return on ad spend is. And what that means is, let's say I spend $1 on Facebook ads and I get $1 back in a purchase. That's not my break-even, because let's say I have a product that I'm selling. There's some cost to fulfill that product that I just sold on Facebook. So if I spend $1 to get $1 in revenue, I've lost money. Right? So you have to take into consideration all of the expenses of fulfilling whatever it is that you just sold on that ad in order to understand what your break-even return on ad spend would even be. So how do I calculate that, Steve? Good question. So you're going to take this formula, and again, take a picture, a screenshot of this, write it down, because this is one of the most important things in this entire presentation. Your return on ad spend break-even point is going to be your average order value over your average order value minus the cost of fulfillment. And so let's say, as an example here, your average order value is $100. And then your cost of fulfillment, meaning the cost of the product, your shipping, anything else that you would go into fulfilling that product, is $40. So you'd have a margin of $60 there. That means your break-even return on ad spend would be a 1.67. Okay. Extremely important, because as you're running paid advertising, if you're below that number, that means you're paying to lose money. Okay. Now, early on, as you get started in a brand new Facebook ads account, there may be a period of 30 days or so where you might be around that or a little bit lower, but you're going to be spending a lot less money telling the platform, teaching the platform, getting it to know who you are and what you do. Okay. So the expectation would be by 30 days, you should absolutely be way above that. Okay, budget tip number 2, above your break-even return on ad spend, you want to scale up. So don't stop if you're at like a 3.0 return on ad spend and just say, I'm going to call it good. That's where I'm at. I don't want to make any more money, because at that point, you're definitely making money in your ad spend. And so if you increase your ad spend and maybe you double whatever it is that you're making because your return on ad spend stays the same, you're just making more money, right? So don't be afraid to scale up, and just know, based on the numbers, if you're above a 167, you're making money. Okay. Start slow, scale profitably. Like I just said, knowing your break-even return on ad spend is going to allow you to start. You can start slow, and so if you're above that number, scale up slowly. Start at $50 a day, go up to 60, 75, 120, and as you're comfortably scaling up and you're seeing purchases come back in, scale profitably. And once you get to that point of return on ad spend break-even, pay attention to that and just be sensitive to where you're at. Okay. And next, generally speaking, as you scale up your ad spend, let's say you start at $100 a day and you go to $500 a day and then $1,000 a day. And I've been in accounts where I've been spending $3,000 to $5,000 a day on Facebook ads. The higher amount of money that you spend generally means the lower you're going to see your return on ad spend. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't spend more money. And the reason why is, let's say a couple of examples. Number one, let's say you're spending $100 a day and you're selling $600 a day. Now that's a 6x return on ad spend, where you're making $500 out of what you've spent in terms of revenue. Okay. So that would be your revenue minus your ad spend. And that would be a 6x return on ad spend. Now let's say we're spending $3,000 a day, but we're selling $9,000 a day. So we have a 3x return on ad spend. Our return on ad spend's cut in half at this point. But now we're selling 9,000 and we subtract our cost out of that, and we have $6,000 left over. I would rather be in that scenario number 2 all day long instead of scenario number 1, because I'm at a higher volume. I'm seeing a lot more money come in and more profit to my business, even though my return is smaller. Those scale up and down on both. Okay. on both sides of things. So don't be afraid to spend more money. It's one of the mistakes I see people make is they get afraid to spend money. They don't understand their break-even return on ad spend, and they don't scale enough to make more money. Okay. That's it. I'm right on time. Hit 1:30 here. Perfect. You guys know me. Steve at Working Digital is my email address. That is my phone number. Text me if you need help. My Instagram and my Facebook there.